We are proud to introduce you to the Forgotten Flyway. Bringing respect to the Atlantic Flyway name.
I think we're back.
Yeah, we are back. Finally, it's been a minute, and I think that I'm probably mostly to blame there. I know you've been busy fishing and a little bit of other career things going on, shifting and changing, but we finally have settled in, and I couldn't be happier, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, doing a lot of fishing lately. It's
Yeah.
been it's been pretty good. So I've been absent as of late as well. So we're uh we're both equally at blame here because I've pretty much just been on the river.
Yeah, you
Had a
just
little
sent me a
bit of a
picture.
yeah. I've sent you a couple of them so far. Yeah, it's we've had a couple 30, 40 fish days. Nothing major yet. No 5 pound fish yet, but we're at 5 fish over 4 pounds and like 6 or 8 fish pushing 4. So we're doing pretty good. Lots of lots of 17, 18, and 19 inchers. Uh, so if springtime smallmouth is something you're interested in, get a hold of me because
Yeah, I
it is
might check that.
happening. It's happening right now, and it's gonna
I
stay
miss that,
good.
man. I miss that. Like ever since we moved to Jersey, it's been pretty much like lock in on the salt. But growing up in Central Virginia, it wasn't smallmouth, but just even just pond hopping and catching those little pound and a half ones until you can't see straight during the right time was like the best thing ever.
Oh yeah,
So we miss that.
yeah. I have vivid memories growing up. I would beg my dad to go fish for largemouth at ponds, and he's a smallmouth purist. Can't really talk him into fishing for largemouth and trout and things like that. So uh, we went to this one farm pond, and it was a place that we consistently caught 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, depending on the time of year of that pound and a half range, schooly, small or largemouth. I'm sorry, but yeah, we would figure out ways to make it competitive, and first fish is 2 points, biggest fish is 2 points, last fish is 2 points. We even figured out a way to like play baseball with it somehow, made innings, and each cast counted as an at bat and stuff. So that's definitely something that I could see myself still doing sometime.
Yeah.
I could definitely
Some
go
of those
go for a good pond hop day. It's been a
yeah,
while.
some of those early memories stick with you. Dude, I'm telling you, bro. But I am itching. I've talked about this the last few times that we did talk. That's how long I've been talking about this to cut the tarp off the old boat and get it dumped in because we do the new passion for me now is chasing them early seasons stripers in the bay, the spawnies, and being able to get in there and catch the schoolies and chase them hard right before flounder season kicks in. And I'm not a big bay flounder guy. Like you can kind of keep pulling, you know, 16, 17-inch fish out of 4 foot water in May. That's not like my thing. I'll do it just to get out, but um, so I've been itching. I got some guys that are out doing it with like 40-degree water temps, which is another thing too. You stick them and they just come up like a dead stick. It's not a ton of fun, in my opinion, as well. Call me what you want, but waiting for that, waiting for that magic 50, 55 number, and we'll be after them. So, um, but you have made a little bit of a career change as well. That's kind of something that's going into this, freeing up some more time for the guiding service and potentially a few other things coming down the line. That's exciting. You got to be fired up about that.
Yeah, yeah. I've been spending a lot more time in the duck call shop. finally getting a few. These 1, 2, and 3 there. Just finished those up. Still got a little bit of tweaking to do on tone boards, but I've got a good J-frame prototype and I've got a good cut down prototype. In the coming weeks, I'm taking a little bit of a break right now to do some fishing on some high wind days or just poor weather days. We're getting a cold front right now, so I'm probably going to spend a little bit more time in the duck call shop here shortly. But we're getting 27 degree lows for like 2 or 3 nights in a row. Tomorrow the high is like 42 or 45. So with these highs previously being in the high 50s, low 60s, it's surely gonna kind of shut the fish off for a little bit. So time to dedicate a little bit more time to perfecting these tone boards, and they're made all off of flat jigs right now, so it's taken quite a bit of time to get them sanded down to being perfect. But that's one thing about making duck calls that makes you a duck call maker is, you shape your own tone board, you drill your own tone channels, and you make your own sound. It's not buying inserts in bulk from other companies and stuffing them in a barrel that took you 5 minutes to spin at, and selling them for $150. That's a big argument that we're not going to spend a whole ton of time on right now. But there's such a thing as, modifying calls, which is totally fine, and I absolutely love it, and I've talked about it on here before. I have a modified call sitting on my lanyard right here. However, if you're going to sell duck calls that you claim are handmade for a premium price, I believe you should make 100% of that design on the inside as your own. Now, shapes for the outside, man, you can only make a duck call or a goose call so many different shapes on the outside. And, it's hard to, you grow up buying duck calls or even just looking at them. Previously for me, it was in the catalogs that would get sent in the mail. I loved to page through those and just look at all the different calls that were on the market. And through doing that, you fall in love with certain shapes and designs that people do. And you kind of have to, be a little bit unique in your own way, or just straight up call it a tribute if you're going to use someone else's shape, which there's no harm, no foul in doing that. But it's definitely a challenge making your own tone boards, but we're getting over the hill on that. With this career change, hopefully have a little bit more time to dedicate to that, and maybe release a few to the general public, maybe next February.
You sent me a couple sound files. I'm very excited to make you a black duck that we do a little swap on. They sound good, man, and I totally agree with you. There's something to the artistry. Similar to decoys, like you got guys that buy blocks or pre-cut things that are just like, hey, you do a little bit of shaping, a little bit of tweaking, and there is something to cutting it from a blank piece of cedar and really making it your own and having your own style and doing it. And the calls, I've tried that, are a completely different thing in the sense of basically building a musical instrument, which takes a whole nother level of precision and patience that I do not have.
Well, I don't know if I have a whole lot of that patience myself, and maybe that's why I'm taking a week or two, break from trying to shape these tone boards, because I have sent you sound files, and I'm really proud of where they're at. But they're not even close to where I want them to be. I'm a perfectionist, especially when it comes to duck and goose calls. So I'm probably never going to be satisfied fully with them, but That's what keeps things fun and interesting. But I have taken a couple, custom orders from some friends from across the country. I've been sending a couple pictures and photos out to some trusted individuals. So hopefully we'll get some more report back on the sounds and the quality of operation on these. So maybe I'm not just the only judge on that.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be a
I
little
definitely
harsh on myself. So, and I did
think your
like
cut
Paulson
down's a
try
little
some.
further along. Yeah. I think your cut down's a little further along, personally, than your J frame, in my
And
opinion. But
I attribute that to the fact that I have modified a lot of PS ults for a lot of guys. I've
yeah.
done minor tweaking to J frames, but never taken really any meat off the bone. I understand the
Mhm.
general concept, and previously was a CNC machinist, so I I understand the severity of the things that you need to pay attention to detail with, and just be it a thou off here or there can make or break the duck call. Um, Now with the cut downs, I've taken a lot of meat off of a lot of bones on those tone boards. So
Yeah.
it's just something I'm a little bit. It's more so in my wheelhouse than the J frame, but yeah, we're getting there. It right now it kind of seems like that J frame's operating a little bit more like a hybrid cut down J
Yeah.
frame hybrid. But
Yeah.
I'm working on getting that top end where it needs to be. The low end, I'm a big fan, but the top end, it's just the range is kind of cut off at about a 7.58, and I really want it to get to about a 9.510.
Yeah. Yeah. I echo that. I'm excited. I know you'll get there because you're a tweaker. And I mean that in the pure sense, in the best sense possible. Um, so with that being said, uh, we got together in the shop with the boys in the last episode. Um, I think we've talked about wanting to do some things. We have some conversations going right now about scheduling a few things. But while the timing's ripe and while we're still thinking about ducks, I think it's a great time to kind of dive into a little season in review from our perspective. And I want to kind of do this chronologically. And for you guys out there, Brenden and I are kind of on the same page with this. We have our early season, which is that if you do get the September teal season, September goose season, um, kind of through the beginning of November there. And then I consider like the middle end of November, right around Thanksgiving through Christmas, kind of that end of December, kind of that middle migratory second split, second half, second third of the season, and then pretty much January through the end of the sprint. I get all the way till the end here in Jersey, in the coastal zone at least, and then Virginia is as well across the state. So um, I consider that kind of the last leg. But we want to kind of focus on that early season, man. I know I got a lot of like general concepts that I want to dive into, specifically, different weather patterns that happened here that I think potentially affected some movements of those local birds that you're really hunting in that early split and the early migrators. But I kind of want to get your opinion on your early season, as you have been running a business surrounding these types of things. You were out probably a little bit more than I was consistently and got to see probably a little bit more than I did. So, let's talk about this early season generally, and then if you got any specific hunts, we'll dive into that after as well.
Yeah, so our early season here, um, primarily we target wood ducks because that's what's most abundant at that time. We do hunt, both the Susquehanna and Juniata rivers, as well as a couple other marsh systems, some public land, some private ponds. It really just depends on what shows up and what's where. So this year, I noticed that we had a lot of small ducks around. but I was noticing some pretty odd flight patterns. Just things were not normal. And at that time, seeing as I do run a business, taking people out duck hunting, I took a week off from my day job prior to our season starting so I could scout the entire week. I wanted to make sure these birds were patterned pretty much to a T, and I didn't want any second guessing going into it. I had, friends and family I wanted to get out on opening day and the second day. We open up on a Saturday here. We cannot hunt on Sundays here in Pennsylvania. So I had friends I wanted to get out on opener on Saturday, and friends and family that I wanted to get out on Monday. Tuesday, I was planning on maybe maybe set up a couple decoys and hunt for an hour and then kind of meander around and do some scouting, really just feet on the ground scout mission. Then Wednesday and Thursday, I was going to let birds rest. Friday and Saturday, had a client in town from Idaho wanting to shoot a trophy wood duck. So going into the early season, we were just about getting to a full moon. Our daytime temperatures were fluctuating from daytime highs were anywhere from 65 to 75. We had a lot of high pressure, high clouds, high ceiling, just bluebird skies in general. Conditions were less than desirable going in. For the actual week of season, we were right at full moon. And what I was observing going into that was right away in the morning, I saw a lot of wood ducks flying back into trees at right around 20 minutes before what would have been legal shooting time, scouting. They were going back to roost. And then in evenings, I was watching pretty much silhouettes of wood ducks against the full moon heading out away from the roost, when normally they're all coming back into the roost. So
Yep.
I knew going into it I was in trouble. I tried to go pattern a couple other groups of ducks that I knew about, 30, 40, 50, 60 here and there. Just, they weren't all doing the same thing at the same time on the same day, and it just made for really inconsistent scouting. It wasn't due to a lack of effort. Burnt through a lot of fuel trying to figure things out, going to pretty much the furthest points that I could away from my home base, just to see if things were a little bit different if I went, 2 hours away, which we will pull out and go 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. I mean, I hunt out of state. I drive 16 hours overnight to shoot ducks in the morning sometimes, so it's nothing to drive 2, 3, 4 hours here. So going into it, opening day, my biggest takeaway from the hunt is something that's actually, it's not really hunting related. It's more of a just people are decent human beings. I have a spot that I like to hunt pretty religiously on opening days, and I had 2 buddies showing up that I was going to send to one certain area, and then another buddy, Colson, was showing up, and he was going to come hunt with me. So I'm the first one of my friend group to pull in, and I thought when I drove past, I can kind of see down to our spot. To explain this a little bit further, we have private access to public water. So there's only 2 other people that actually have permission to be on this property. As to my knowledge, they were really only deer hunters. As it turns out, they actually do waterfowl hunt as well. So I saw some headlamps down at the spot. I walked down, introduced myself, shook some hands, and was like, "Hey, look, I see you guys are hunting here. I have a plan A, I have a plan B, I have a plan C. I was planning on going right here where you guys are setting up. I'm going to tell you my plan B and my plan C. I'm going to let you guys pick which spot you want me to go to. So take your scout notes, and you guys can talk about it amongst yourselves. I'll go walk away while you guys decide or whatever. Just pick the one that you guys think is going to screw you over the least. You guys beat me here. I just don't want to go, cut you off between the roost and where you're set up." First, I didn't say that to them, but I gave them the options, and if they told me to go in between them and the roost, I was gonna do it. But I wasn't just gonna go off on a whim and do it to them. So I let them kind of decide their own fate there, and they actually kind of responded with, "Well, do you have a bunch of other guys coming?" And I was like, "Well, I have a group of people showing up, but we were going to split up and hunt here and another spot." So he was like, "Well, tell your other buddies to go hunt where they were going to, and then you and your other buddy can come hunt with us." So it ended up working out, whereas Colson and another good friend of mine, Hunter Thomas, came out, and the three of us hunted with a group of three friends. So it was 6 of us on opening day. We were just sharing the blind, cutting it up with guys that we had never met in our lives. It turns out they're pretty great dudes. They're stand-up guys. It was a lot of fun to watch other people kill birds with them.
Yeah.
So I did actually end up finding a spot that had a couple birds going to it, which was that spot. Unfortunately, someone else set up in my plan B spot in between us and the roost, and they shot a couple ducks early and got out of there, and then by that time there was really nothing flying. And I'm not known to cut hunts early, but I think I was out of there by like 9:30. And from me talking to you this season, I'm out all day most of the time that I go hunting. So no one had to twist my arm to get out of there. We weren't seeing shit. So the next morning, it was the same deal. We actually had a little bit of cloud cover backing up to the opening day. We actually did shoot a bird. I shot the only bird of the day. It was a pair of wood ducks that came cruising through. All 6 of us unloaded our guns. I killed the bird on the very last shot of that 6-man volley. Absolutely horrible. There's no reason at 25, 30 yards, there's absolutely no reason that both of those birds shouldn't have been dead on the water.
But it's early. You guys are getting the kicks out.
I did get a lucky BB to land in one. Macy, who's currently at my feet, got herself another band. I think we've probably covered that on here, but it was an undisputed. It was quite honestly one of the only times it's ever happened to me personally. Hey, I shot that bird. It's only happened to me twice before, where it's been like, 100%. No, 3 times. Only 3 times. It's 100% been all me. That's my bird that I shot. So yeah, it was pretty cool. The biggest takeaway, honestly, is how Trent and Connor handled themselves and handled the situation. For anyone, I don't care where you hunt or how you think things should be run around your parts or whatever. I don't care how long you've been hunting that spot on public land. I don't care whose granddaddy was hunting that spot on public land. I don't care if you've been there for 2 years, 20 years, or 40 years. It's public land. It's first come, first serve. And we need to work together to figure out solutions to when there's two different groups that want to hunt the same spot. I hear too many horror stories, and I used to fall victim to this. I used to have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder when it came to that. I, through a couple lessons, I have learned that it's always better to just, if you get beat to a spot, just say, hey, where do you think we should go? You guys beat us here. We're planning on coming here. First of all, if you don't have a plan B and a plan C, that's your fault.
Yep.
But man, use your resources. First of all, try to make a connection or a friendship or do some networking. Maybe that dude that beat you to that spot has that type of schedule where he's able to scout all the time. He's able to get off work, maybe he gets off at 4 a.m. and he can beat a lot of people to a lot of spots. And it's really no problem for him to, it's not waking up early. It's just continuing his day. So you never know what you're going to run into, and you will never know if you're a dickhead to someone like that out on public land. If you get beat to a spot, just try to find a solution. And if you beat someone to a spot, just try to think about how you would want to be treated if they beat you. I'm not going to get any further into it than that, but it's been a problem around here for quite some time. But I know it's a problem everywhere. I've heard horror stories of, I literally just last week I ran into a guy at the boat ramp. He pissed someone off. That individual made a phone call to his buddy who came to the boat ramp, unhooked this dude's trailer from his hitch, flipped it upside down, and pushed it under his truck. So there's just, there's no reason for that kind of shit. It's the birds aren't worth it. Try to make a buddy and try to find a solution. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, I mean again, I quote a lot of outdoor podcasts on this thing, but it's like we are all on the same team. And you bring up a lot of valid points. You've done a lot. You've been in a lot more blinds across the country with a lot of different folks from a lot of different places. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of it. I kind of have a microcosm here. The other solution that we've kind of made a tradition, at least my group here in Jersey does, is wherever we're hunting, we camp out. I mean, we camp it. We have somebody there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the day before opening day. We got a little campfire. We got the fucking hammocks that hang up in the trees and shit, and we camp it. So we make sure that we're there. Yeah, but
done that a handful of times myself. Dude, these bugs tear me up. That is my only complaint. The bugs are horrible. That's why we keep outside of that, man. I love doing it.
It's fun, man. And I got some older dudes, who do it with us, and it's like their favorite time of the year. It's like they get away from the kids, they get away from the wives, and they get to just kind of hang out and dude out in the middle of the woods, be like a little kid again. So it's fun. But you do bring up a great point. Like it's such a we are naturally competitive. We kind of make it competitive, but at the end of the day, like we're all just trying to have a good time, shoot some birds, and talk shit and bust balls. So like, at least that should be enough commonality to your point, to at least just say, hey bud, like we're hunting here. Not sure what your plans are, whatever. Hey, you can jump in with us, depending, there's a lot that goes into that, but like just being cordial about it, man. It's a great point. But yeah, dude, I think, at least for me, we had a few pretty decent wood duck shoots on some smaller private cedar ponds in the pines, but the openers, like my holy grail. We've been going down to South Jersey for the past few years, in the shitty, muddy, nasty shit, and just shooting the hell out of teal. Like it's been a lock, like guaranteed lock, 25 minutes. I don't care how many guys you got in there. You're probably each going to shoot your birds. We can kill 6 of them, so shoot your limit. And this year, camped out. Hell, we were even motoring around doing some striper fishing in in the wee hours of the morning to just stay up, hang out, burn some time. But it was super slow, dude. I think we ended up with 4 or 5 birds, shot a banded hen teal, which is pretty cool. But I kind of take that back now to what we were dealing with, just with the drought in Jersey. It was bad. Like I told you about my one buddy who has the cranberry bog spot that's like one of the largest private pieces in the state.
Did you shoot any birds off of
water.
that? Nothing.
Yeah, I think like a handful of ducks, and it was whatever we had water. It wasn't like the bigger things that we wanted to get into. The bigger reservoirs didn't have any water because they were pumping all spring or all fall. So harvest season, I think they broke a couple pumps. That's how much fucking water they haven't done that in years. So it was just yeah, a couple of those the well shafts actually sheared off from running so goddamn much. But yeah. So we didn't get one hunt. Did a bunch of blind work this offseason, didn't get one hunt in there. So we're excited about next year. But I think that was a big factor though. Like those teal in previous years, going back to taking notes and thinking about things and watching things, in previous years, you would see them teal come out of obviously freshwater roosting areas. Like they were coming out of the pines, out of the things in clouds, and they would hit those mud flats and small, shallow, skinny water and feed. And like moon phase, none of that stuff mattered previously, the whole 9. And the full moon definitely didn't help for us. For any of those birds that were sitting on the marsh, but I just saw, and it was consistent then throughout the beginning of that season, even into the middle part of it. I didn't even hunt it late season. I usually hunted it late season a couple times. I didn't even hunt it just because I thought it was just off. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. So no business driving the hour and a half down there and messing with it. But specifically that early season, I think the drought affected a lot of the local birds, a lot of the early migrators. Holes that had water in previous years didn't, and it was a bad drought, man. So it's just, you're kind of at the mercy of Mother Nature. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from early season. There's obviously factors, like you said, the moon, the weather, the high pressure systems, all those things. But to your point, you put in some miles, usually you can find some ducks that you can at least get a crack at. And we had a really hard time doing it in the early season. And like I said, a lot of it was drought, unless we were on the river, the Delaware, that is, or something that actually had something. It was tough. The early coastal split, which doesn't come in until early November, was the only one that was good. And we had, I think it's like a 4-day little split, and we shot some ducks there. But it was tough, man. It was tough sledding. And again, I think a lot of it goes back to that. Just every year's different, man. And it's definitely going to be a note taker for me, right? Like, got a bad drought, got to find them, got to stay locked in on them. Don't waste your time on other things. And probably shame on me for not scouting down there prior to and just kind of taking it for granted. Another lesson learned, right? But the early season, we had a good season overall. We had fun, but the early season was definitely frustrating, and it got you thinking a lot more throughout the rest of the year. Each decision was double, triple, quadruple guessed by somebody.
Yeah, we were honestly only able to string together 2 decent hunts in our early duck season here. My client that came into town, he was a solo hunter. He wanted to get himself a trophy Drake wood duck, and he wanted his new dog to retrieve it. I think he went through, I'd have to look back But I think he went through about a box and a half of Boss shot shells and went home empty-handed. He did
Mm,
knock one down. He did knock one down. It was crippled, and the dog never did connect with it.
yeah.
So it was unfortunate, and it once again wasn't due to a lack of effort.
Yeah.
But yeah, if those last few days of the season, um, we did get little bit colder, a little bit colder overnight temps, which kind of translated into um, maybe some lower temperatures for the first hour or two of shooting time. We got a little bit of cloud cover one of those days in the morning, and it definitely helped. It did not help that I only had one person with a shotgun that has only ever killed mallards and Canada geese in wide open cornfields and never has experience trying to shoot wood ducks in tight water before. Um,
Yep.
there's a learning curve on its own for like even shooting teal like you. Um, Teal's your thing. Uh,
Yeah.
in Arkansas, I've had quite a few run-ins with those little boogers, and they will humble you so quickly. So I think I've got one more early season story. It was actually from 2 seasons ago, but it's if we're gonna end on a strong note, I gotta tell this story because it's um
Yeah. Let's do it.
almost tearjerker for me, almost. So it was in the middle of an absolute banger wood duck hunt. We shot one green winged teal. That was the first duck of the morning that came in. And usually, if you kill one, you might kill a few. It was actually just a single. Came in, it landed, had a couple buddies out. It was raining really bad. And there were 6 of us, 6 guns. And I think at this point, we needed maybe like 2 or 3 more wood ducks for a limit. And I see this big group of ducks. It was a big ball of ducks that were maybe 500-600 yards away. And just for the hell of it, Colson and I started calling at them. Just, you're duck hunting. You see ducks far away. Early season, you're amped up. You want to turn some. And sure as shit, they turned. And the thing is, they flew out of sight before they turned and came to us. And that's how long the sound took to travel to them. They had actually traveled out of sight by the time they had made their decision to come back to us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and with the way the trees were set up, they had a perfect 20-yard gap to navigate through. And man, wouldn't you know, it was every bit of 30, probably about 40 blue winged teal, which,
Oh,
if you're from Pennsylvania, we don't have teal season here. And by the time our early duck season rolls around, Youth Day, the week before, the Saturday before opener, couple blue wings get killed. I killed one blue wing here ever, and it was on a Youth Day. The only other one I've seen shot was by my dad, which that happened on opening day of regular duck season, probably 8 or 10 years ago now. So it's just not something you'll see a couple every once in a while, but they're usually pretty well gone.
yep.
And they push through here heavy. We see them, in September goose season on the river. Oh man, we'll see the blue wings. But yeah, man, big old ball, big ball of them. They lit right to the mojo. I let probably about maybe a dozen birds hit the water. Yelled, kill them! They all spring straight up. Boom, 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 boom. Feathers everywhere, man. And then we all kind of just look around at each other, and we're looking at the water. No one's saying anything. And then I remember breaking the silence, and all I said was, "You've got to be fucking kidding me, guys!" Dude,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
there was teal 10 yards away, there was teal 20 yards away, there was teal 30 and 40 yards away. You can't tell me you had too tight or too loose of a pattern, because there was birds just in every direction. As soon as teal, when they ball up real tight and you yell and first shot goes off, they all just go right up and fan out. And
Yep.
I'll tell you what, there was 30, 40 feathers falling, but all 30 or 40 of those ducks left. And we still,
Dude.
it's a sore subject. Anytime Colson or I see a blue-winged teal video on Instagram, we will send it to each other, and we just, I won't even react to it anymore. He just knows that it really grinds my gears, and I am thinking about that exact moment on that exact day that we just all we fucked up, man.
Could have been us. Could have been us. Should have been us.
Oh,
dude.
We're all pretty well seasoned shooters. Now, if you saw Colson and I at the clay shoot that we were just at this past weekend, maybe you might, maybe I'm misspeaking a little bit, because that was pretty ugly. But man, I've seen Colson make some great shots. He's seen me make some decent shots. The other 4 guys that were with us, they were more than capable. It was one of those deals. It was ugly.
I get it.
But
I had a day.
Once again,
I had a day where I was good. Good.
Just another example of you can make memories out there.
For sure.
With unsuccessful results, and in my eyes, that's a fun, dude. We shot 3 bands that day, and I'm telling you the story about 6 guys missing every single shot on what should have been a rain out. And dude, that's the memory that sticks out from that day. We got to see some amazing dog work. We got to see some awesome wood duck decoying wood ducks. And shit, that my favorite part of that hunt is the story I just told.
Yeah, that's the magic of it. And them teal, dude, I was on a heater, man. This was a couple years ago down in that same spot. We had just a burner of an early season. We had hit it probably entirely too much, but I get back, like I'm talking like I'm pretty consistent with doubles and sometimes triples with these things, because the first shot's key. You smash the first shot, then like you said, they go straight up. Everything's just a follow. It's bam, bam, track a bird, and go. For some fucking reason, dude, I don't know what it was.
Once you get good at it, and on a good teal shoot, if you get 6, 8, 10 groups of teal to do it, you're cleaning up, because it's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy. But when you're shooting wood ducks and easily decoying birds, and also wood ducks they're not hard to shoot on crossing shots. Man, you're just in a totally different rhythm. And one of those things, like if you go from trying to shoot honkers to trying to shoot wood ducks, it's gonna take some adjusting. And
for sure,
you think 1 out of 6 dudes would connect on 1 out of 3 shots, but it's just the way it goes.
It's just the way it goes. And that's exactly what I was getting at. Is I was shooting good for like a week, dude. And we get back there, and I'm talking wads of teal. I usually am the guy that brings extra shells. I had like 2 boxes of shells. Bro, I shot them all. I ran out of ammo. The last shot was the last one I killed. It took me 2 boxes of shells to kill 6 teal. It was unbelievable. I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And I'm talking, we had like 50, 20. At one point, we had a group of, I would venture to say that was upwards of 150 to 200 ducks just wave in. Like I'm talking, like they weren't hard shots, like they were tits out in your face coming, and I just couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. And like I said, I've been hot for 2 days, or for a week. It had me contemplating life, and that's why I have so much respect for those little rockets, dude. Those things are so much fun. But
they're also probably one of the best eating ducks out there. Love eating teal.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite ducks.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys know I'm partial to black ducks. I love my wood ducks. Mm-hmm. I love mallards. Outside of that, pintails, widgeon, and teal. Which, man, I think I just listed off about all the ducks that we can shoot, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, man.
Love them all. Love them all.
They all have.
I was admiring some gadwalls on the river the other day with Colson. We saw a couple gadwalls, and the way the sun was hitting it, really nice drake flushed out of a nice brush patch. The sun was hitting it perfect. You could see lots of green and purple iridescence coming off the bird, and big bright white wing patches. And man, it was, they get a lot of shade in the whole gray duck thing. It's fitting because they look gray from far away. Beautiful birds. Beautiful.
They're gorgeous ducks.
Especially with the good rusty patches on the head and the wings and stuff. Oh, yeah. And a challenge to a guy like you that's carving and painting decoys. Dude, people say, oh, that's a simple, ugly duck. Try to paint one. Go ahead.
Dude, getting that like grayish, beige tone with those is like, I can't, like, so I sent you the picture of that one that I shot over the handful of gadwalls that I did make, the corkies that I did make down in Virginia. All of them look different because I can't have a consistent thing that gets it like this part paint, this, like, all of them look different. It's so hard, but you're right. You're exactly right. They are simplistically beautiful and simplistically complicated in that sense.
And also,
but I
also delicious again.
Yeah,
another great.
I love shooting ducks. They're awesome. So, yeah, you got me all fired up now. Now I want it to be September, counting down, getting going. God, dog. But
hey, we got turkeys to shoot. We got some fish to catch.
That's true.
We got decoys to carve. We got calls to build. We've got trips to plan. I'm ready. Yeah. There's also I'm still thinking about tuna.
I know. Yeah, we're definitely doing that. That's the what. Like I said this. That's the only thing I'm doing. I'm putting a tuna on my boat this year, or several. That's like I could not catch another fish in the sea. That's all I'm doing. So you're right about that. Yeah, we got some stuff to plan and stuff to go. But that was our early season in review. We'll dive into the middle part, and then of course the end, which I'll just go ahead and say it was probably my favorite.
Always.
But yeah, always. But we'll dive into those, and then hopefully, as we've said here previously, try to get some interesting adventures with the boys, get in front of some dudes, chop it up, some carvers, call makers.
Yeah, we've got a good one or two in the pipeline here. We're not going to release any names yet, but man, we've got one lined up that, man, I am very, very excited. Very excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So just bear with us. We're working through some stuff. I got a kid coming the end of May, my second. So we'll make sure we're still plugging away and getting this thing done. But we appreciate you guys as always, and we will catch you next time.